Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Hilltop Pillbox here in Abbotsford, British Columbia, Canada. And today we're going to be playing ourselves a solo game of BBR5. And the reason it's solo is because there's a few guys I wanted to play with, and they just can't make it, unfortunately. Life happens, right? That working for a living sure cuts into a guy's free time. So that's unfortunate, and we're going to have to do this solo. Now, the good part about that is that, hey, if it takes me all day, it takes me all day. But the bad thing is that I haven't played BBR5. I had a bit of a run through with my good buddy Triple Crown, who sent me this map. He gifted it to me. And he also gifted me the sets of cards that you need to play the game. And so thank you very much, Triple Crown. And not only that, but we will be playing with the dice that Triple Crown made on his own. And it's fantastic. So we're going to be playing with those hit dice. And historically, they have hit quite well. So we will hopefully see a lot of death and destruction. There are a few differences here. And if I do make a mistake, feel free to point it out in the comments below and say, hey, you forgot this, or hey, you know, please do. Please let me know, and I'll get things squared away. Some of the big differences that Spain now allows Germany, being pro-Axis here, Spain will allow Germany to come through and shut down the Med before anybody can get in there and make Gibraltar into a veritable fortress. So that's, I know that's a thing that a lot of people do now just to keep Italy safe. Then Italy can roam on over here. I said roam, that was kind of a pun. It's early, forgive me. And Britain then, knowing that Italy will likely be able to pounce on Cairo, will not tend to build a factory here, but they might build one in Belgian Congo. So these are things that happen as you kind of tweak the rules, change the rules, add units, subtract units, and whatnot. There's also the Vichy rule, and the Vichy rule is very simply the Germans can essentially set up a Vichy puppet government, and all the German units leave, so you only have one infantry in there. Very, very weak, very inviting for the Allies to go in there. But if that happens, all these other territories become Vichy and become defensive units only. And so they will not participate in any battles except defensively. Now, Germany does get a slight bonus of 2 with that, which is handy, but it's not as handy as the 3 there. So it is an option, but we will have to see what we want to do with that. Also in the setup here, there's an extra cruiser in the English Channel for the Commonwealth, which adds some bulk there. Essentially, I think what they were trying to do is slow down that first German assault. It's going to be pretty intense. I believe there's actually another tank supposed to go in Cairo, so I'm going to look that up. Just had Triple Crown message me, telling me about some of the changes, and I didn't see that on the setup chart, but I probably just missed it, because I'm sure they're right up to date. I just got from Sired yesterday. So everything else is ready to go. Or maybe it's not Cairo. Maybe it was Calcutta. Calcutta, yes, and they did put it there. Not Cairo. There's no extra tank in Cairo. I think that would probably be a little OP, as the children say. All right, so I am going to tell you my goal in this game, though. I have two goals in order to get my points for the Axis. First goal will be to absolutely smash Cairo. And I'm going to use a lot of the German Air Force to do this. The other thing is to play defense against Russia. Not worry about getting into Russia too deep. I'm going to have to look again, because maybe they changed some of the victory points for that, but I believe you don't even have to really go into Russia, and you could still win as the Axis. And Japan, their goal is to take Calcutta. I know that that is a fairly typical thing, hence the extra tank that's in there. So those are my goals. Italy takes Cairo and holds it, and of course from that, goes in here and goes out and threatens the Soviet Union maybe. And Japan will take Calcutta, and the Germans are going to play defense on the Eastern Front and close the Med. Okay, that's essentially what we're going to do. Now, knowing that, I, as the Allies, are going to try to stop myself from doing that. It'll be interesting to see if that is possible. Also, from my understanding now, the United States is able to enter the game a turn earlier now with their Navy. They are allowed to move out into the Atlantic, but they cannot end in a hostile sea zone, or they just can't do that. Okay, and at the end of turn 3, the U.S. can, of course, declare war, as has been the case since the beginning of all this. So, there we go, folks. We're going to give this a whirl. If I make some tactical blunders, strategic errors and whatnot, I'm sure you'll point them out as we go along. It's a pretty big game for one person to play a solo of. So I'm going to do what I can to do it justice. And we'll see if the Axis can pull off a victory. Here we go. Paris. Will it fall? Think so. Okay, so I rechecked my sheets because that really seemed wrong to me that there's a cruiser there. And I'm looking at the sheets on my phone. I'm much more of a paper guy. And I had when I swiped a little bit, my thumb moved it. So it showed the French cruiser. And for some reason, I read that was that. But anyway, and those of you who are wondering, yes, I put the destroyer and transport in there. And there was a couple of German planes. It was just empty sticks, but now they're there. All right, so on we go with round 1 and hopefully the fall of France. And here's the Deadpool after the first round of the game. And you can see there's lots of stuff there. I don't think anything really happened here that's too different from a normal game, but we'll set the record straight for you. Here we go. The German U-boat got a hit on the boats there and sank them. And up here, the British fleet got wiped out, but the Germans actually took it on the chin as well. They lost their battleship and destroyer. No aircraft, though. Did not get good hits down here in 110. In fact, there were 2 U-boats left at the end of that battle. They had lost 1 or 2 up in 111, I guess, and then they ended up losing these in the next turn, on the British turn. They came in and killed them. Did not go for the Vichy thing with the Germans. Don't really see the point right now. I understand that it stops the French units from moving around, but I just don't see them as being that big of a deal in this game. Plus, now the Germans can come down to Aragon instantly on this next turn and start gobbling up Spain and threatening Gibraltar, which is now empty. I don't know. Thought for the British, bring down a couple of guys. So now there's 5 there. Who knows? Might get some hits. The Germans took France, only lost all their infantry, but I don't think anything else. Built 3 subs and a couple of artillery, and of course activated Finland and moved a bunch of stuff up to the Eastern Front, activated Bulgaria. Yugoslavs only got 1 hit in defense, not too good. The Italians kind of focusing on Vichy France there, didn't go after the French fleet, so no bonus this turn. But they were able to get rid of the British blockers, and the British are now down to a loaded carrier, which will obviously skedaddle if it can, because the German Air Force has relocated here and will likely try to sink that. But they might not have a spot to land for some of those planes because it's too far away, so they might just have to land here. So why aren't the Italians in El Alamein? Well, the British launched forward and actually took Libya Tobruk and really had some good rolls. Their tactical from Cairo went in and sniped the tank right off the bat, and the 2s were very anemic for the Italians in defense, and the British eventually were able to wear them down and kill them. The Italians took it back with a loss of 1 infantry, and so the Italian fighters are here. I was thinking about taking one of these Frenchmen in there and taking a shot at a 1. It's always nice to kill a fighter if you can, but decided to make the Italians come to the French. Greece remained Greece for now. But the Italians did land here in Syria, and no hit from the French on the bombardment actually killed them. So now the Middle East is kind of open, raring to go. Down here, the British had some fortuitous dice in Ethiopia, though. Very good. And then the Italians did what the Italians do. Over here, built a couple of things in Calcutta, a man and an artillery. Oh, and I spent the other 32 on 4 destroyers because, of course, the Germans have all their subs here. And I'm wanting to, as the British, knowing, of course, that the Germans are not going into the Soviet Union, I'm trying to put as much pressure as I can on this front so that the Soviets might have an easier run of it. So the Soviets built a couple tanks in Moscow and then artillery up north and men down south. We're just going to build up just a wall of love and affection and head over towards the western side of the country. All these fellows are headed back to Moscow, of course. Some tough luck for the Chinese. They lost Yunnan, only killed one guy. And taking it back, as you can see, ouch, not much left. That's all that's left of the Chinese contingent at this time. They did collect the 15 because of Yunnan. Now, for the Japanese, I'm trying something here. I'm not sure if this works out in BBR5, but I've built an airfield here in Guangxi, and it's meant to facilitate, of course, that nonsense. All right. So what that is going to do is allow me to hit Calcutta on turn 3 and land in Yunnan, because I'll have Yunnan wrapped up by then. Not a problem at all. So that's the plan, and I'm not sure there's a lot of ways to stop it. I know that there are things such as blockers that you can put out, but they only block 3 boats at a time. And yeah, we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot of game to play, of course, but it's not looking too good all of a sudden. Here now, had I spent all my money here, I think it's a limit of 17 you can build. So you can't even put like 6 guys in there a turn. You only put 5. So I spent 7 there, wanting to lock up the Atlantic. I was remiss, however, with the Commonwealth. I was really thinking of heading out here and taking out the, or not taking out, but collecting some money on the islands here in Java. But I got to tell you, I've seen that happen so many times. And yeah, you collect 2, then you collect 4, and on turn 3, your boats die, or anything that's out here just dies, and you just can't make up for it, right? Now, some people might be saying, "Oh, you got to do it," but I don't know. Something tells me I'm going to want these boats later on. I did forget to move this, so I'm going to move that. That's what happens when you play a solo game. You can do what you want. And all these guys are moving to Queensland where there's a nice air base. To be honest, I was focusing on Africa and Canada because I built a couple of tanks down here, saved some money with them. Unfortunately, we were getting convoyed by the sub up here, which hit us for 2. And the Italians were actually being convoyed by the French at the end of the Italian turn because they didn't take out these boats. And so they lost, I think they lost $2 as well. The Americans absolutely focusing on the Pacific, knowing Japan is going all crazy, hair on fire for Calcutta. And so I built some transports and the men to put on them so that we can come out here and start to actually threaten Japanese holdings when the Japanese fleet is going to be way over here. And we'll see if maybe that'll balance this out. Of course, it's tough as the Axis when the Allies know exactly what you're going to do. So we'll see, though. Will it matter? Or will it just be a sheer weight of materiel and the position that we're in that will tell the day? All right. Round 2 coming up. Turn 2 is in the books, and please forgive me if I make little mistakes and whatnot here and there. When you play by yourself on a game this big, sometimes, especially when you haven't played for a while, you forget things, or sometimes it's just new rules that I don't know until I check the rules and, oh, I already did that turn. So, but when you play by yourself, you can cheat, which is a lot of fun. So you may have noticed that there's only 2 fighters here. There were There was only one there before and two, and I moved him over. And I moved the guy that was here all the way over to Malaya. He can make it, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So he moved there just to kind of make things, okay. And then on this turn, the Commonwealth turn, we're going to move him into there. Okay. And then these guys here, they're going to fly to Malaya. Now, some people would think this is a fool's errand trying to hold Calcutta against all of that and all of those planes and some ground units. But we're going to try anyway. And forgot to move him. They got to move him there. Okay, just so the tank can't blitz through, of course. Well, as long as we're in the Pacific, we're going to show you what the Americans are doing. It's only 2 rounds, and they got all this nonsense here because we've put $0 into the Atlantic. Oh, and another thing, we're doing no tech this game. I decided not to do any tech. We're just going to run with what we got. And it'll be interesting to see if that makes much of a difference. So the Americans have a bunch of stuff here. They've got 6 transports, 12 units ready to go. And so 12 units in the Pacific, and next turn there'll be a few more, as you can see over there. So they got lots and lots of stuff. Japanese have fairly emptied this area of the board, and we'll see what their round 3 attack brings. He's ready for the sneaky Carl, of course, as it's known, and so there was no chance to do that this round. China, pretty much all but gone. They kind of retreated up into the corner here, collected their $4 and have gone away. Now, there's a new rule in BBR5. It might have been in 4, but I've just noticed it here in 5. Any ally that goes into China, it's considered an act of war versus Japan. Not even to attack Japan, just to go into China. So I had been moving these guys across thinking, I'll duck them in here, duck a few guys in here to help out. But if we do, then of course the Mongolia rule is null and void, and the Japanese will start gobbling up the Far East. So I think they'll just keep heading over to Russia. You've already seen India. What that's looking like right now is able to put the 5 units in this turn. I put in 3 men and 2 artillery. So, if they happen to survive, might have a little bit of a punchback. Africa, things went a little bit better for the Allies. We're able to get rid of the Italians here. Loss of 1 man, unfortunately, but the rest of it is now all in Allied hands. No worries there. The Luftwaffe has relocated to Syria, thanks to the Italians providing a landing spot. And of course, the British carrier is at the bottom of the sea, along with the defending fighter, all for the loss of 1 German fighter. Tacticals took out the carrier with their target select. A couple of tacticals here, and the Italians just kind of crept into El Alamein with 1 lone division and sent the other 2 westward to chase away the French, who did in fact leave. The French boats are gone, so the Italians have a little bit more scratch to play with this turn. Built 4 men for the Italians because, well, you need boots on the ground. You really do. Plus, they have gone here into España. And so all the Portuguese territories and the standing armies become British. So you can see the British are there. Up here, we've added another transport to a cruiser to the group here, and moved a destroyer up to block at least 3 subs because the Germans are going sub crazy. I do this a lot. When I'm not spending a lot of money on German tanks and planes, I like to buy my subs and just keep the British building destroyers and other such things that can't actually take my land. So I like doing that. I don't do it every game, but some of my opponents will testify to that, for good or ill. I think a lot of subs for the Germans can provide you that moment of pause that you need in order to subdue the Soviets, which of course this game I'm not even trying to do, but will likely head in this round, as it is turn 3. So we'll probably head in there with a big stack and just see what we can do. Americans, of course, nothing doing. And the Commonwealth, actually the Commonwealth roll, the sub roll, did not hurt them this time. So they were able to escape unscathed. All right, well, that's pretty much it for the wrap up of round 2. We'll see if Calcutta can hold, and we'll see what the Germans are going to do on the Eastern Front. We'll let you know right away. Okay, we're almost done round 2. There's one really minor thing that could be a major thing we're going to get out of the way. Here's a spoiler alert. Calcutta fell, but it was a battle. And the Japanese had an incredibly weak first round, whereas Calcutta had an amazing first round. So the remainder of the Japanese Air Force is that. 2 fighters and 1 tactical. That is it. That's all they've got left on the board for an Air Force. So, was it worth it? With this kind of nonsense coming over, I don't know. Built a couple of carriers. It will be interesting. But what I thought I'd do is give you one of these little treats I like to give you every now and again, where we're going to have these guys, because really they've got not much to do. They're probably not going to be incredibly relevant in this game. Is they are going to attack this minor fleet here. And they can land in Ceylon. So it's 1, 2, 3, and they can land there all legal-like. Okay, now this is a long shot, because they've just got 2 3s versus 2 2s and a 1. So I've got the dice already set up here. But hey, this could be the stuff of legends. So we're going to roll them all at the same time. The blue dice, of course, are the Commonwealth dice. Let's see what happens. Okay, well, 1 hit, so we've got a damaged carrier. All right, well, it's better than it was a second ago. 2 more hits. Oh, but they're going to lose a fighter. So 1 fighter is going to go, but 2 more hits means that a Japanese carrier is gone. And there is 1 fighter left. So 1 carrier die goes away, and 1 fighter die goes away. And these transports are still plugging away. All right, let's see how it goes. Oh, and the transports end it. The transports end it. Look at that. My. Well, I still think it was a decent idea. Unfortunately, this Japanese carrier, a little too big for the damage marker, is going to get repaired automatically here at the shipyard at Calcutta, which it now owns. So what I'm going to do is just carry on with the end of round 3. Sorry about that, guys. But hey, Calcutta, you made Japan bleed. Oh my goodness. So Japan, thinking that maybe it might happen, built that at home. Just a stack of men. And also built a factory here on the mainland in Kiangsu. Chinese just continue to back up. Well, they can't back up anymore, but they have their cavalry. And the Japanese didn't bother taking a poke at that because there's really no reason to let the Chinese come at them. Over here in Africa, the Italians were able to wrest control of Cairo away rather easily as there was nobody there. And take special note of the 2 Africa Corps gentlemen who were dropped in by the Junkers. Brought them in. And the planes, all these planes that you see here and these Africa Corps fellas are from Sky Marshal. And he did an amazing job with the art on the painting on these things. It's not something I can do, so I'm very appreciative. Sky Marshal, you're the best, man. Thank you so much. Moving on here with the war, Belgian Congo got a factory because Britain, well, we're going to see what happened to them. And a couple of more tanks. Oh, I guess this is the move. So 2 of these guys can move up 2 spaces. Or 3 spaces, pardon me. So we're going to use these chips. They're going to go up and join these 2 fellas. And 1 can move there because... and this is something I've forgotten in a couple of instances. But out of a factory, you can move some distance. Distance of 3, the number of units is the IPC value. Over here, well, there you go. Germans have come in lock, stock, and 100 smoking barrels. And... the British really had not much to do, so they came down here and brought in a couple of guys into Gibraltar. hoping to at least inflict some casualties to take that. And as we come up over here, we can see that the German U-boat fleet is alive and well. Yes, they took a poke at 110, and even though the UK scrambled on the first round, the UK got 2 hits, and the U-boats and the accompanying fighter and bomber got 4 hits. So 4 destroyers were gone, and all for the loss of 2 subs. There were only 2 subs and a fighter left, so the Germans retreated, being the better part of valor. So this is what we're left with here. It looks as though this is all going to be closed up this turn. So Rome doesn't need to really be protected too much. Africa is quite a quagmire. We will have to wait and see how this all transpires. There's a lot of aircraft down here, though, that can just come down and just pummel stuff. So the British Commonwealth will have to be careful. Of course, this is all in Axis hands here. This is all Axis power. Big story down here, though. The Russians came in and beat up the Germans hard. I think the Germans got like 2 or 3 hits. They had about a dozen units there, or 8 units, I don't know. I know they got 2 hits, I think. But up here was a different story. They went into the Baltic states and did very, very poorly. Took out their anti-aircraft guns, but only 2 more infantry. So there's lots of firepower and more coming for the Germans, who really just wanted to play defense. So that might have been a mistake by the Soviets, but sometimes you just got to try to take the homeland back, right? And then we'll see what happens here. I've got these all stacked up, a stack of 4 and a stack of 6 transports, and who knows where they're headed, but Japan gets to go first. And I already built some destroyers a couple turns ago, getting ready for this, and here they are. We're probably going to spam a bunch of subs, put up the blockers, and then, well, we'll see what transpires, because blocking doesn't work the same way in this game. Oh yeah, that's what happened down here, is the British came out, threw some blockers up here, fight, and yeah, didn't quite work out for the British very well at all. But with no Air Force left for the Japanese, that could spell some difficult times ahead here on turns 4 through 8. Alright, end of turn 4, moving on to turn 5. I think I screwed up the die last turn. But anyway, here we go. Well, the Americans brought some boys down here. Were able to sink a Japanese destroyer in the Carolines safely and landed there. And brought their humongous fleet up here with all the Trimmins. Alright, so there's 12 units there. Also brought over a couple of Strat bombers with a couple of boys into Siberia just because. So that's what's sitting there, and they killed 3 destroyers and 16 on the way through. Target selected 2 of them, killed the other one, and no hit for the Japanese. So that was a waste of 3 destroyers. So now the only thing standing between the Americans and Tokyo, well, is really nothing as far as water goes. But in C-Zone 6, there are 7 subs, and a couple destroyers. And a bunch of ground units. So ground units are going to have to win this for Japan. Those subs and whatnot aren't going to be worth an awful lot. Now there are some boats here that can make it north and help defend the homeland. And yeah, they can try to help out. The problem is I had a monumental brain fart with playing the Japanese. And I just threw away 2 transports. I did not see the Commonwealth/Anzac boats over there in 54 come on over and slap down a couple of these. So we have these units here, and does Japan have the horses to come back and take care of them, or do they need all hands on deck at home? Now, Japan has a ton of money they can spend, but with these over here being able to move 3, and then they can start gobbling stuff up as well. So Japan may actually have to start building in India. As far as China goes, the Chinese cavalry came down with the help of the Air Force and liberated Sikang from a lone infantry. So Japan now has, well, it's kind of annoying, but not really a big deal. But China is up to $2 total right now in their coffers, and only one away from making another human. So good for them. Over here in the Middle East, the Italians are consolidating, have built 3 tanks, and have 7 infantry in northwest Iran. Definitely headed for the Caucasus next round. Africa, some fun for the Brits. They sent out their Air Force and some boys to attack in here. And they target selected a couple of Italian tanks and smoked them both. So that was kind of a moral victory. They lost 3 infantry, but that's a trade they'll make, I think. Taking out some of the sting of the Italian attacking force. Italy's down to simply infantry now. Bit of a force building up here. Again, to what end, we're not exactly sure, but time will tell. A couple of 3 more British tanks are here. So they definitely could outproduce the Italians, but the Commonwealth decided to build stuff over here this time. We built a fighter and a couple of subs, sensing opportunity with Japan kind of reeling a little bit from the massive American invasion up north. So nothing was built here in South Africa here on turn 4. Up here, Malta went with a whimper. Didn't even get a hit, but there's only one guy on there. And an anti-aircraft gun, and the bombards got their hits. So up here, the Luftwaffe has relocated to Romania. But the Soviets were able to punch into, or Bulgaria, pardon me, the Soviets were able to punch into Romania with a decent little stack there. Probably going to get wiped out by the Air Force and the accompanying ground forces. Up here, though, the Soviets have been able to get some small measure of revenge by taking back eastern Poland. But they did retreat. Belarus just was not tenable with the large stacks in Novgorod and the Baltic states, threatening them from both sides. The Germans are definitely doing the ground pounder stuff now. No more subs, just ground and pound, and away we go. Gibraltar fell quite quietly, as did Portugal, unfortunately for the Allies, so the Med is now effectively closed. Up north, the Germans had 4 subs that were convoying the British, and convoy them for a massive total of $4. Yeah, that was pretty sad. They only got $1 in Scotland and 3 in the UK. Bad rolling for them. And the British, what the heck, let's build a bunch of destroyers. So that will be hopefully able to take care of the U-boat threat for a little while, and possibly be able to start building a transport fleet to threaten landings on the coast. The Americans, what the heck, come on down, took Brazil, and we'll probably try to prosecute a bit of a tussle versus the Argentinians here at some point, just because they can. Obviously, this transport is probably going to get zorched by the Germans because they can't have an American transport flying around. And the Americans actually built a couple of destroyers on this side to get that little bonus and to hopefully help deal with all of these German U-boats. That's pretty much everything from that round. On to round 5. Will Africa change hands again? Time will tell. Okay, so here we go. We got the battle for Tokyo, and I made a major change, which would never happen during a real game, but because I'm just playing solo, nobody cares. When I had split my forces north and south with the Americans, right after I did that, I thought, that's stupid. That's exactly what Sun Tzu said don't do. So I brought them back north, and away we go. So the Japanese actually took a poke at this. They had 8 subs and a couple destroyers, and they ended up damaging one battleship and destroying 2 subs and 1 destroyer. So they got some hits, but of course they got wiped out. Just the air power just knocked them on their heels. So we're going to show you this battle in all of its glory. If the Americans win, of course, it's pretty much game over, depending on what they've got left, because, of course, the Japanese actually have a transport. They can go pick up a tank, come back, and they can actually hit it with quite a bit of air power. So this will have to be a pretty convincing victory, or else Japan might be able to come back and take it back. And there really is not much of a follow-up for the Americans. This is one of those we're in it to win it moments. So, we're going to start with the anti-aircraft. So we've got, how many planes have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 planes. So we're going to get 8 anti-aircraft shots. Oh, that's a good start for them. Okay, so we got some decisions to make. We're probably going to get rid of one of the bombers, shooting 2 at 2, and we're going to have to get rid of one of the fighters. And that's a pretty good roll for the Japanese, I'm here to tell you. That's probably going to be quite decisive. But damaged battleships are not allowed to bombard, but my 2 cruisers certainly are. So we're going to let the cruisers go at it. Oh, they're getting a couple of hits as well. So that'll take care of 2 of those pesky anti-aircraft guns. Not soon enough, unfortunately, for the Americans. I believe... Oh, shoot. Did I do that in the right order? Hold on, I'm going to check. Okay, looks like I screwed that up. So we're going to erase. We're going to go back and put this all back here. And apparently the bombardment happens first. So we're going to redo this. See if it makes any difference. Alright, so back to the 8 here. We'll see if it makes any difference. Well, it does. No hits. Okay. Alright, no hits for anybody, the bombards or that. So yes, apparently the bombards go first. Bombardment is the opening salvo, I guess. Alright, so now we've done all those pleasantries, and we are now on to the actual battle itself. So we have 2, 4, we've got 7 at 1 for the Americans. Yeah, can't really expect a lot from those ones. Then we've got 3, 6, and then we got another 8. So we got 14 at 2. So we'll roll 7 twice. Here we go. 2. 5. 5 on 14. That's pretty much right on the bubble. So 5. I didn't bring a dice to keep track of things. Alright, here we go. We got 5 hits so far. The 2s. Now we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 3s. 4. So that takes us up to 9. And then we've got 2 at 4. 10. And I actually forgot one of these was bringing in 2 men. The other one was just coming to bomb. So he's got 2 at 2. 11. So 11 hits on the first round. It's not too bad. So that's 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, so here we've got 8, 9, 10, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22 at 2. 22 at 2. So let's see if we can get 11 twice. So we've got 10, 11 twice. Here we go. So that's 3. Oh, that's pretty devastating. 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's 9 hits. And we still have a fighter. Oh, miss. All right, 9 hits. So what we're going to do, tell you what we're going to do. Since these guys disappear anyway, they're gone. So that's 1, 2. And then we're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So no more 1s for the Americans. No more 1s. They're all gone. Going to the dead pool. And the Japanese have lost that much. So it's this is going to be interesting. It's a lot closer all of a sudden than I thought it was going to be. So we've got 5, 10, 14. We have 15 units left for the Japanese and considerably more for the Americans. This is all of a sudden looking like could be a Yankee win here. All right, so we've got, I believe we had 14, but I'll count them again. I believe we've got 4, 4, and 3, and 3. So yes, we have 14 at 2. So we're going to do 7 twice. So 3. So 7 hits on 14. 2s, that's above the bubble. And we've got 5 at 3. 2. That takes us to 9. And then we have 2 at 4. 1 hit. So 10. 10 hits. So that's going to be all those. Okay, well, it looks like the Americans are going to start taking air units off, I think. So we've got 10, 14. So 7 twice. Here we go. 7 twice. Oh boy. 1, 2. You know, you're just not going to win too many battles doing that. I think I am going to do this. I think I am going to do that. And we're just going to make this an overwhelming victory, likely. And another one. All right. Okay, so now the Americans have 14 at 2 again. There we go. 7 twice. 1, 2, 3. That's it. That's it. So there are 4 at 2 and 1 at 4. 1 hit. Yeah, you know what? It just wasn't meant to be there, Japan. Well, folks, that is likely the most lopsided ending I've ever seen to this game. I should probably roll the thing out, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope for the Japanese. What they can bring, they'll have 2 bombards, they'll have a man and a tank, and 4 planes. 1, 2, 3, I guess they can land, so they'll have 5 planes. I knew I built that for some reason. So that's what we got. Well, let's roll it out. Why not? We'll just roll it out right here and see if it's even worth all the fuss and bother. Alright, so the Americans have 6... They still have 14. They've got 15 units. I don't think this is going to end well for the Japanese. But here we go. Let's see what they can do. They got 2 bombards at 4. It's not how you win a war, Japan. It really isn't. Alright, but they do get target select. So they've got 2 target selects at 3. So they can take out a tank and an artillery. And I'll see if they can do that. Okay, so the American tank gets taken out. That's gone. And now we've got a 3, a 3, a 3. And the tank is a 3. And then a 1. That's what we got here. 2 more hits. Alright, so we're going to do that. So we've got 14 at 2 for the Americans. 14 at 2. Well, if they don't get any hits, there might be some hope. 3 and 4, 7. Alright, so that wipes out the Japanese because they only have 7 units. So that's it, folks. Okay, so that's quite the ending to this game, considering how well the Axis were doing. China was fairly subdued. All of this was in Japanese hands. Italy was here. They were coming up, going to be coming into the Caucasus next turn. Well, this turn. The Germans are just playing around with the Soviets at this point. They're just having fun. You can see what's going on here. And they took that, and I kept the Soviets back, figuring going into the maelstrom would be kind of stupid. I know that's war lingo. So over here, the subs continue to do their thing. Britain was obviously going to try to eradicate the subs this round. But there's no threat here. The American transport, of course, got nixed. Sorry, there's the dead pool I kind of draw units from when I need it. But that's it. That's it. We got the Italians kind of getting clogged up here by the Commonwealth and the UK. And there's an Italian factory here. I mean, like it was really looking like an Axis victory. I think they were sitting on 15 points. And it was looking like they were going to coast. So knowing what happened here, and knowing that if the Axis aren't a little bit more cautious, this can happen. Now, I put every dime that hit Tokyo, that was every dime that the Americans spent this game until this last round. All went towards Tokyo. And I built a lot of stuff in Tokyo. You saw the stack of infantry there. But it just wasn't enough with the 20 units that the Americans were able to bring, plus the 6 aircraft, plus the 2... Yeah, so it was 22 ground units I brought, and 1 bomber, 6 aircraft, and a couple of cruiser bombards were able to dispatch the Japanese. Now, you also saw the horrible rolls by the Japanese, but that wasn't even close. I mean, even after the reply, America's standing strong. So, chalk one up for the Allies here. Very surprising to me. I haven't seen the Allies win this very much. And this is the way they usually lose, though, the Axis, is by having Tokyo get taken. So, there you have it, folks. Thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments below. Be nice, though. Remember, this is my first game, really, in a couple of years. I may have missed some obvious stuff. Hopefully, I didn't miss anything on the battles. Hopefully, I got those right. But I always have Global War 36 and Global War 39 going through my head as I'm doing this. And sometimes I even reach for the D12 to play. So, but thanks so much for watching, folks. As we always say, hug your loved ones. Thank your friends for taking the time out of their busy lives to play these great games with you. And, as always, may the dice be with you like they were with Americans.